Shalom. Today is April 7th. Israel is marking 6 months, half a year exactly, since the war between Israel and Hamas has broken out on October 7th. The whole newspapers, the radios, the TV, Israel is throughout all the media is marking 6 months to the war. Haaretz is putting up all of the hostages' faces up. This is its main issue here. Ein od yom. There's not one more day left for them. It says, Chatzi shana, half a year after October 7th, the destiny of 133 people is still in the hands of Hamas. And the government who has deserted them back then is still doing so today. This is Haaretz, left wing. Yediot Achronot reads, Gilayon Miyuchad, special edition, Chatzi Shana leMilchemet 7 באוקטובר, half a year to the 7th of October war, they're saying. And this, the paper is about successes and failures. It's about the widows of the soldiers that have been killed. And here's one story about Yahel, Yahel Tzirat Abba Tal. Yahel drew her father Tal, waiting for a hug. He's doing this with his hands, she is saying, they're quoting her. Ve'af echad lo ba elav, and no one is coming to him or is going to him. So this is Tal, and he is still in captivity of Hamas. Yahel is waiting for him. Milchama shelo hayta kmota, a war that there's no other war like it. Chatzi shana, half a year. Milchama b'shtei chazitot, a war in both fronts. And there's a row of numbers here. Let's read a few. 12,235 missiles shot into Israel. 9,000, a little bit over 9,000 are from Gaza. 3,100 are from Lebanon, and 35 missiles from Syria. 12,000 terrorists have been killed in the Gaza Strip. And there are so many more in the Gaza Strip. Around 330 terrorists have been killed in Lebanon. 32,000 targets have been attacked in Gaza, while 3,300 targets have been attacked in Lebanon. What's interesting is that 3,100 missiles are shot from Lebanon to Israel, and around the same number are the targets in Lebanon. So it's almost 1 for 1. There's a lot of information on these 2 pages. Here we see a photograph of IDF soldiers in the Gaza Strip. And here in small letters it says there have been outstanding results compared to any other country in the world. Alongside the achievements in Gaza, the missed opportunities in Rafah and the central camps in the Rafah in the Gaza Strip are creating a gap between what Israel is declaring it will do and what reality actually is. And doesn't help, it reads, that Netanyahu is insisting on being right in front of the Americans, but not wise. Very not wise, it says here. Here on the left, they're speaking, here it reads, from Retzuat Aza le Retzuat HaBitachon, from the Gaza Strip to the security strip up in Lebanon. And the IDF is preparing. There's a big battalion, brigade actually, getting ready for the war that's spoken about, for some sort of ground maneuver into Lebanon. It reads here, Chazit HaTzafon, the northern front. And we see here a quote of one soldier. He says it's an officer, a young officer that is helping another family to evacuate their things because they gave up. So even though there's no actually official war yet in the north, so many families have just given up. They're taking their last belongings and are going to rent a place in central Israel, like around Tel Aviv or something. And it breaks the heart of this young officer that says it's not what they hoped would happen the 6 months. In this photograph, we see here, soldiers, IDF soldiers with their tanks, and it reads, Lochamim behar dov, fighters in Har Dov. Har Dov is a very, you can call it explosive area. There is a military base there. There is no fence with Lebanon there, lots of bushes. And the IDF is preparing lots of ambushes to the Hezbollah terrorists, and it's working, but still there hasn't been an official war announced between Israel and Hezbollah. Chatzi shana, half a year. Ha'ke'ev shel nashot hanoflim, the pain of the wives of those who have fallen. And here there's some representatives of the wives of those soldiers who have fallen. We see here the pictures with their husbands that have fallen in battle. Lemale et hachalal, to fill in the space. And halal, it's a play on words here because halal is also the Hebrew word for space, but also for a soldier that has fallen. So it's saying to fill up the space that has been left from the soldier who has fallen, which happens to be here their husbands. They're having a hard time stopping life. To mourn their loved ones because the war is continuing and the hostages are still in Gaza, and the national trauma is getting mixed with their personal loss. But the longing is there all the time in every corner, and the children that will grow up with no father who was a hero, Abba Gibor. 4 widows of the war are sharing now courageously about the war that they're managing in order to go back to routine, and about the husband that they're promising that will always be in their hearts and in their children's hearts. Chatzi shana, half a year. Ma'amatzim laha'it iska, efforts to speed up an agreement. This is about the agreement with Hamas to release prisoners for hostages, but it says that Hamas is not giving a formal answer to the mediators, and there's another summit that will open up in Cairo in order to reach some sort of breakthrough in the negotiations. And it seems like an Israeli delegation will go to those discussions, to those talks. Israeli sources are tying Hamas's tough stand in not agreeing for a negotiation plan right now. They're tying it to the hard conversation Netanyahu had with Biden, or Biden had with Netanyahu on Thursday, where Biden is increasing the pressure on Netanyahu to complete ceasefire in Gaza. Qatar ambassador in the UN is telling the hostage families, if an agreement comes into fruition, this is because your pressure on the government, the pressure that you're putting on the government. So I personally don't think that's fair to tell the hostage families that it's all on them to pressurize the government, and only then it could be a successful agreement. Here on the right, there's Shimon Shifel. He's giving an opinion article, and he says, first of all, the hostages. Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas in Gaza, has our most precious of all, and he's not going to let it go if he will not control Gaza. So he's recommending Israel completely leaves Gaza in order that we will get the hostages back. 133 hostages right now. 33 because one of them, Elad Katzir, was found, his body was found, and it was brought back into Israel. So one less hostage, but he came back dead too. And this is what they're saying. If Sharia Latzil et Elad Bahiska, their family is saying, his family is saying, we could have helped or saved Elad in an agreement with Hamas if it was done earlier. נמצאה גופתו של החטוף שנרצח בשבי. The body of the hostage that was murdered in captivity was found. This is what the other article is about. Katzir, here he is. He was shown twice alive in different videos from Hamas and the Islamic Jihad. This is one shot of him, but here he is in his healthy days in Israel. So as we said, he came back, his body returned by the IDF soldiers. And it seems like he was killed actually in January. Chatzi shana, half a year. Is this war propaganda or a real threat? They're asking this question about the Iranian threats to attack Israel in a way that Israel never knew, that Israel will not be able to recuperate from it, they're saying. Tochniyot hamilchama ha'iraniot, the war plans of Iran. Here the unmanned aerial vehicles in Iran that are threatened to go in groups massively, fly into Israel and attack Israel. And this is because this is like a revenge attack of Iran, because Israel assassinated Hassan Mahdawi last week in Syria, one of the top Iranian commanders. And the Iranian chief of staff just says it again, I'll say it again, Israel tachtof makkah, Israel will get a hit, she'ein la tkuma, that she cannot get up from, that she cannot recuperate from. Next, again, Chatzi Shana, half a year, 133 hostages still in captivity. And there's a list of numbers here about how many civilians have been killed, how many children have been killed, and toddlers and babies, how many have been in Gaza originally, and on and on. Chaftzei Chaim, here they're speaking about families that are waiting for their loved ones to return, and they have each one of the hostages that's presented in this article has a family or friends that are waiting for them with some sort of object. So let's take Alon Ahal, he's 23, and his roommates were supposed to rent a room with him, a little apartment in Tel Aviv, but then October 7th happened. He was kidnapped. They recruited to reserve duty, and after all of this, and they were released from the reserve duty for now, they are still renting an apartment, and they're also paying a little extra for an extra room for Alon, their friend, with his bed from home. Here it is, and they're just waiting for him to come back. And they're saying, we are sure he will bring his orthopedic pillow that he loves so much. And all of these families and friends are just not losing hope. Here's a letter from grandma that's waiting for Hirsch, who's 22 years old, and they're keeping that letter. They're not opening it up. It was for his birthday, and he is originally from Jerusalem, but he's kidnapped in Gaza, still waiting for him. So this is it for today. The 6 months is a big mark in Israel all over. The enemies of Israel are just increasing. The pressure on Israel is large, but we know that God does want Israel to win this war. For more updates and stories, go to allisrael.com. You can follow us on our social media. Like this video if you liked it and share it with your friends. This is Rotem Magen for All Israel News.